What's up, you guys? Here, Kalen here, doing a review of Captain America Civil War. I did a review on Star Wars a couple months ago. As these movies come around and as I really feel passionate about them, I like to talk about them. So, I'm going to talk about it, try to be brief. I've had to redo this video like over 10 times now because I keep getting interrupted. So if I sound tired or just kind of, that's why, as well as I'm also just tired because it's been a crazy week. But I'm going to go ahead and get to the review. That's what y'all here for, so let's go. Man, unlike most people, I did not go to this movie and like have the previous movies in my head necessarily. I didn't watch any of the previous films before seeing this. So kind of went into it pretty fresh, which was cool. But at some points, like certain things and characters, I was like, who is that again? But all in all, I think these are one of the cool things that they're trying to do now, you can tell, is that I definitely saw it in this one. I'm not so sure about previous films, but I could definitely tell with this one is that they're not necessarily trying to set up another movie. Like, I mean, they are, but like I walked, like when it ended, I felt like it's complete. Like this is cool. If this was like, if an actor passed away, or if the director passed away, or if something happened, like an apocalypse happened, and this was the last movie we got, I'd be content with that. So that was cool. But anyway, back to the beginning. I'm getting to the end. Let's talk about the beginning. So, yeah, didn't really watch any previous movies in anticipation of this movie, but I did read the comics, the Civil War comics. Been reading it the past month or two. Started off just reading the Civil War comics themselves. Then I realized that the Civil War was so much bigger than just the comics, in that like there were other comics that tied into it. Like there was the Road to Civil War comics, where there were a couple issues. One was a Spider-Man issue. One was a New Avengers issue, I think. And there was another, maybe Wolverine. But anyway, there are other comic characters and comic series that tie into it. In the comic sense, Civil War is like a web of all these events tied together. And at the center is the Civil War comics, like titled that way. But there are other comics, like there's an Amazing Spider-Man. There are a few Amazing Spider-Man comics that are part of the Civil War story. So basically, started off just reading the Civil War comics themselves. Then I went back and started reading like the other ones, like Amazing Spider-Man, where it tied in, and the Road to Civil War, as well as the other. There was a She-Hulk comic that tied in as well, and there's a Wolverine one. So yeah, kind of went into it, kind of knowing what to expect, but ultimately just like, from what the trailers have told us and what I read in the comics, kind of get an idea, but still going into it not really knowing too much. Trailers didn't give a whole lot away. Yeah, so talk about the story real quick. So essentially, if you've seen the trailers, you know kind of the idea of what's going on. There are two major things going on in the story, but they both tie in. One aspect is, of course, Bucky, who has been identified as a terrorist, and the government is just going after him for the many things he's done. But of course he was under Hydra's control. He doesn't remember any of these things, and he feels like, I'm in a terrible place. I did this, but I don't remember it. It wasn't really me, but they're still after me. And so Steve, Captain America, is there to kind of be like, yo man, I got you, trust me, we're gonna make this work, we're gonna get through it. On top of that, you have an event that takes place in Africa that's tied into the whole Bucky situation. I don't want to give away a spoiler, but something bad happens and people die, and the Avengers are basically, or at least the Avengers, the new event, the Avengers of this movie, excluding Hulk and Thor, are accused of being responsible for this. So they come under some scrutiny, and General Ross from the Incredible Hulk, he's returned, which is weird because Edward Norton is Hulk in that one. And anyway, whatever. He comes and he's basically like, you guys, look, we've ignored this in the past, but it's gotten to a point where we just can't ignore it anymore. We gotta do something. Y'all gotta go. Either you gotta go into retirement, or you're gonna come and be a part of the UN and function only as like an extension of the UN government, as like a peacekeeping force. So Iron Man, and this is true in the comics, Iron Man is for it. He's like, yo, this is what we need to do. This is what the future is. You know, we can't do what we used to do in the past. We gotta look past it. We gotta, grow and evolve. So he's in support of it, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. But Captain America's like, you know what, man, I don't think it's that simple. I think we need to assess that, there are other things that play into this, and being under the control and regulation of the government could be pretty faulty if, I mean, the government changes all the time. You know, what if they change a rule or something that puts more restrictions on us and keeps us from doing what we need to do? So there's that whole conflict, and that builds into the tension between Captain America and Iron Man. The point at which the two take sides is really when Captain America is trying to protect Bucky, because the government is coming for him. If you've seen the trailers, you know this. It's not really a spoiler. They're coming for him, and he's like, look, I can't let my friend die. He didn't do this. I know him. You know, we grew up together. Please. And he's, you know, doing his thing. All that goes on, and it eventually, like, the climax is eventually the point where they meet up. Like, Iron Man's like, okay, I'm taking care of this. You know, I got this. I'm going to bring them in. It's going to be cool. And so the big battle happens. You see it in the trailer. Two sides. There's the addition of Spider-Man, though, and I want to get into how I felt about that, as well as how I felt about Black Panther. So the big thing happens, and big fight, and yeah, Rhodes is injured. You saw in the trailer he's injured, and from there, the tension between Captain America and Iron Man is only intensified. And I won't spoil the ending, but there's a big battle at the end, and dude, it's everything you want to see, man. It's good. The trailer only captured a little piece of it. It's a good fight. So for those of you that were disappointed with the Batman v Superman fight, you will not be disappointed by this fight. Trust me, it is epic. And from there, that's the story basically. I want to get into, and I didn't talk about the ending too much because I want you guys to see that. Let me talk about what I liked. So things I liked, dude, the writing is on point. You got to give credit where credit's due. The writers had a big task on their hand. They had a humongous story to work with, all these different comics to look at, as well as the story that's been established in the previous films that they have to follow up to. And on top of that, all these different characters that they have to incorporate and establish and broaden and evolve and grow. And that was really cool to see. And did they succeed? Yes, they did, man. They did a great job. Nearly every character feels on point. They all, the interactions between the characters is really cool. There's some really cool moments. It's a pretty serious film, but there always will be. There's humor. So for those of you that are, concerned, or is it going to be like Batman v Superman, like overly dark, super dark, no humor whatsoever? No, it's not. So yeah, so let's talk about the new additions. Black Panther, how'd they do? Very well, man. I'm really pumped to see the Black Panther movie when it comes out. The director of Creed and Fruitvale Station is doing it. I'm really looking forward to what he does. I can't remember his name, but he's a brother. He's an African-American dude. Young guy too, he's like 30. He's directing it, and Chadwick Boseman's going to be in it, obviously, and I'm really excited about it. They did a great job establishing Chadwick's character. But the King of Wakanda, dude, they nailed it. I thought they did a great job. And he got more screen time than Spider-Man even, so that was pretty cool. And you really, as an audience member, you're like, man, everybody else, and this is how it was in the comics too, like everybody else is kind of faulty. Iron Man's a little too much of a kiss up to the government. Captain America's too rebellious, but Black Panther's solid. Like he stands by what he believes, and his beliefs are very just. He's always concerned. And part of it is just him being the king. Like all these different people he's responsible for, and it's like people look up to him. You can just tell that there's that leadership aspect in his character, and it was really cool to see him in there. And Chadwick killed it. I was really proud of his performance, and I look forward to seeing more of Black Panther. Man, I really enjoyed him in this film. He did a great job, and I was really, I can't say enough good things about that. Spider-Man, how'd they do? Man, they did terrible. I'm kidding, dude. They did awesome, bro. Man, I can't. How do I start? And I don't want to go too far and too long. Dude, they killed it, man. They just it's been, everyone knows, all the nerds know, the Russell brothers' favorite character growing up in the Marvel universe was Spider-Man, so I had faith that they were going to do it right, and they did, man. Big ups to the writers, dude. They really knew, they understood Spidey's humor, his character, and they did a great job of I feel like we're getting a real ultimate Spider-Man type vibe with this one. Tom Holland did great, man. Dude, I'm so proud of what he did. His performance was great. I look forward to seeing him in more. Dude, Marissa Tomei, like, I never thought Aunt May would be fine, but she is fine, dude. She is, ooh, I was like, yo, that's Aunt May? Goodness. Dang. Anyway, she did great too. Didn't have a whole lot of lines, but it was cool. And I'm looking forward to Spider-Man's movie. Dude, looking forward. I'm pumped for Spider-Man's movie 2017, man. Spoiler alert. For those of you that are spoiler sensitive, pay attention, because I'm giving you this disclaimer so that you don't have to worry about it. I'm about to say something. So, at the end of the movie, if you stay after the credits, and even after like the credits, like the rolling on black, white letters on black screen credits, there's a Spider-Man clip that I was like, I don't know what they're doing here, because you know you see Peter's fidgeting with this thing that Tony gave him. It's like a laser, and you know Aunt May comes in and he's trying to hide it and just talking about the fight, and he plays it off like it was a fight at school, and it's really funny. The humor's cool. She walks out, she shuts the door, the camera pans up, and you see it's the Spidey symbol, man. And I'll say this, I was in the theater, mostly just a couple kids and a couple couples, and mostly middle-aged and younger kids, people there. I was the only person in the theater to really appreciate that. Because I was like, and it's funny, I was like, yo, the Spidey symbol, yo. Nobody else was like that. And I was like, man, that's crazy. I had a nerd moment there, and I just lost it. My brother was so embarrassed, it was hilarious. But for those that don't know, the Spidey symbol, it's a classic thing. We've been using it from the very beginning. The Stan Lee Steve Ditko comics kept it going for many years. It hasn't been incorporated in any Spider-Man movie thus far. The Spectacular Spider-Man TV series used it, and from the looks of it, we're getting that kind of Spectacular Spider-Man type vibe with this Peter, and I'm really, really excited about that. Dude, I can't wait. Things I did not like about the movie, because I think I've gone pretty long. I want to get into the conclusion. I mean, the movie, it's pretty fast-paced. There aren't a whole lot of moments of, like, chill. There is a point, there's a portion where they're trying to establish a relationship between Vision and Wanda. I felt like, I mean, it's cool, but I didn't, it started and it kind of drops and then they bring it back again. I'm not so sure if I buy into all that, but I mean, whatever. It was cool. I didn't mind. I just didn't, that was one of like it wasn't necessarily weak. I didn't really care. How about that? That's just how I felt. I just didn't really care that much. Other things, there were some shots, a lot of the action, especially in the beginning, is very shaky cam. And I was like, ooh, like sometimes like when there's really close camera like distances and stuff, but some characters like you can barely tell like what's going on because it's just moving so fast, so rapidly. But didn't take away, and by the end, you know, it's really well done and like it gets better. So that's not a big deal. Another semi-complaint, some characters seemed a little too CGI, particularly Spider-Man, but like I said, his performance, Tom Holland's performance, as well as just how they did, like the writers, how they did the characters and the costume, man, they did a really good job. For those that were worried about the costume, it's straight, it's awesome, no complaints there. They really, and it just blows my mind that this is happening now in like today's time, where we can get a Marvel film that incorporates all these characters, and it's actually happening, and it's very good. Like it's crazy. I felt the same way about Star Wars when I saw it the first time, Episode 7. I was just like, dude, like I actually exist in a time where we're getting a new Star Wars film. Like, oh man, it's a crazy feeling. And I felt it again with this one. So, as far as how I rate it, I didn't want to go too long. I rate it, man, I thought this thing was really, really great. Didn't have too many like things I didn't like, but ultimately, great film. I would say, I don't have a rating scale. I'd give it an 8, man. 8, solid 8. Really great film, man. Awesome. Loved it. I'd give it an 8.5. 8.5. There you go. Yeah, take that. You know, really cool. For those that were disappointed by Batman v Superman, see this, because it does such a great job. Addresses a lot of issues we see in superhero films recently, and really, man, it's setting up the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so I'm pumped for what's coming next. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I can't wait, man. So yeah, man, I'm pumped. I hope you guys see it, and yeah, hope you like the video. Hope to do more of these, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.